السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد نبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear brothers and sisters, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome all of you for the second part of Fatwa Live that comes to you from Houston, Texas. The first question. My understanding is that the husband must provide food, shelter, clothing, and other things needed to his wife based on their financial situation. I'm not sure if the husband must pay full flying tickets for his wife to travel if she has a mahram and see her parents. We are middle class. I'm the only provider. She's a homemaker, and I spent almost all my money on my wife and the kids. If my wife travels, my 3 kids must go with her. And if she asks me, that's 5 round trips flight with USA's Bangladesh costing about $10,000 to $15,000. Am I responsible for funding these annual visits for my wife to see her parents? The answer, my son, the one what is required for you toward your wife, the financial part. First of all, the dowry, which is what the husband spend or a benefit that's going to provide for his wife intention of marrying her. And to fulfill it is one of the obligation because Allah said, give the women their dowries. The other thing that's the expenditure, food, clothes, medicine, and housing. And everything that the life must have as much as he can in ease or hardship without overspending nor be miser. This is the financial part, the dowry, and then what you need for living, food, clothing, medicine, residing, and anything that is essential for life. The annual visit to her parents is not required unless it is part of the condition of the marriage or it is known in your culture. The the traveling expenses is not part of the expenditure that is required by Allah or by the Sharia. Anything you do will be in goodness and into bringing happiness to the wife and to the kids, and it's also kinship, but there is no sin on you if you can't afford it. And the other thing, to even though it's not required, but to help the wife to visit her parents in goodness, not every year, maybe every other year. It depends on what you are capable of doing. That is one of the good living. That's going to strengthen the relationship, especially if she cannot afford to do it by herself. Or they're going to be a harm, psychological harm, and Allah knows the best. The following question: a father pressured a man to sign divorce papers. To mention 3 talaqs, he refused to divorce his wife. He did not say it orally. He just signed the papers, and the papers reached his wife, after which she started her iddah. God suggests if the divorce had occurred or if such papers has no value, and the husband did not do it by his will, because it's not his will. The answer, the majority of the scholars, they said, it did not happen. The one who is forced, if it is something like a threat of killing or hitting or prison or exposure, because the Prophet ﷺ said no divorce or free in ighlaq, and one of the explanations is the forcing, when you force somebody. Also, the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah Azza wa Jal has forgive his my followers from the forgiveness for mistakes and if they forgot, and also what they are forced to do. The Hanafi, they are different. With they said it does happen. Why? Because they say it will take the choice, but not the satisfaction. He divorced at the end, like he accepted it. That's why he did not want it. He hates it, but it happened because there's a choice. Because the forcing did change the choice, but not the satisfaction. Like he could have insist and resist and don't divorce, and he take the divorce as the Hanafi madhab says. But that's when you are forcing somebody, no fact. But if he is done on good, like the Muli, the one who has swear to uh, desert his wife uh, uh, in bed, and because of the ayah. So after 4 months, he don't want to divorce. He don't want to keep. So the judge will say either you divorce or take her back. You cannot leave her hanging. So if he deserts from the bed 4 months, then he have to either take her back or divorce her. So if refuse and to be stubborn, then the judge he will force you to for the divorce. So that divorce that happened, it happened with all the scholars accepting that. The other issue, you wrote the divorce but did not say, but you need to understand, writing the divorce is from parts of the divorce. Does not happen except with the intention, as the most of the scholars says. So if there's no intention, there is no divorce in the religion, even though it's done in the civil law. So in front of the courts, you are divorced, but Islamically you're not. You did not divorce, and Allah knows the best. The third one, I served as an imam and officiated marriages within the community at all times. I am approached with cases where the groom is a non-Muslim. The family often inform me that he has recited the Shahada earlier at a place and request that I officiate the marriage with their daughter. However, I feel hesitation in such situation. From experience. We have observed that some individuals declare the Shahada merely as a means to marry, without genuine commitment to Islam. They rarely attend classes, prayers, or engage with the community afterwards. In fact, we often see them only at the time of the marriage, after which they disappear. Unfortunately, even the bride in these cases sometimes show little concern for practicing Islam herself. Given these circumstances, is it permissible for us to decline officiating such marriages? So we're talking about both the husband and the wife not practicing. Can we refuse or deny such marriage? So my answer from the rule, whether it's accepted or not accepted, permissible, not whomever uh, is correct for him, the Islam, then he can marry him. But you have to be with acceptance from Islam and to free from any ideology or any religion. So whomever accepted the two statements that he followed those, intended to accept the faith and enter Islam and to be free from anything that's different, then with that part he is a Muslim. And whomever is proven to be a Muslim, then you can marry him. In Sahih Nisa, Abu Talha, He engaged to a Muslim. She said, none of you will be accepted, but a disbeliever. I'm a Muslim woman. I cannot marry you. If you make the Islam, that's my dowry. I don't want to ask anything. So he embraced Islam, and that was her dowry. So Abu Talha engaged a Muslim, and she said, like you, nobody deny. But you are disbeliever. I'm a woman who is a Muslim, and I'm not permissible to marry you. If you make Islam, and that's my dowry, and don't ask for anything. And that was her dowry when he embraced Islam. Thabit al-Bunani says, who narrated this hadith from Anas. So I heard of a woman more generous in her dowry than Sulaim, Islam. So, and she had a son with him. And to show her as the from principle, whether it's permissible or not permissible. Now, whether it is the in the politics, you have to not rush into the marriage until you verify that he is a good Muslim, practicing Islam, especially when there is a doubt. A decision for Amja at this point, the marriage is accepted with the acceptance of the monotheism and the message of the Prophet ﷺ, that he accepts both statements of Islam and enter Islam, or want to enter Islam and to be free from any other religion. So that is enough to get him married. But you need to verify that it did happen. When it comes to marriage, men or women, you have to be safeguarded. And they need to also verify for those who wants to marry them, and they're truthful. And this is more important for them, to make sure it is a suitable husband, and to reward him with the marriage of a Muslim woman. And has nothing to do with his financial and any other issues. Now, the correctness of the marriage is not a problem that he accepted Islam, knowing that it did not. So the correction of the marriage should not be doubtful, knowing that the disbeliever, he should not be married to a Muslim woman. Another question that's very important. Does the wife has the right to know how much her husband is making, and if he is spending upon his parents and siblings or not? She wants to know all his financial. Does she have that right to know all his financial, whether he spent on his brothers and sisters and his parents? What is required that he satisfy her with her money, food, as we said earlier, medicine and residence, and without overexpending, nor to be miser. And also the kid to have that financial responsibility. And the husband don't have to tell his wife the details of his income, as long as he's doing his duties and he is spending on her. And the wife can be verified if somebody came to her. Someone has to, the parents and brothers, sisters, and he's spending his money. And she found his income is very limited, so I want to make sure, am I gonna be have the share, or is everything go to his parents? So she need to make sure that it is enough, or it's gonna be affected because he spent on somebody else and his family. So if that expenditure is going to delay some of her rights, then she can ask of her rights, her financial rights. So the spending of the husband on his parents, it is good and obligatory if they need him. And the husband is required also to spend on his wife. And the same thing, his parents, if they're poor. But not the expenditure should not to be on the expenditure of the wife and her kids. So that expenditure is going to show some because the priority in the expenditure for the wife, then the son, then the parents. The wife is prior over the parents, and the kids is prior over his parents, but not over his mother. If he can spend on all of them, then he can. But if he can't, because of lack of money and his lack of income, then he need to spend on his wife and his kids, and then anybody who wants from his family. In Sahih Muslim of Jabir, that the Prophet ﷺ said, start with yourself and make charity on it. If there is something, then to your family, and then after that, then those who are relatives, and anything beyond that, like this and that, on right and left. The Prophet ﷺ, why he called it charity on the does not mean it is recommended only because it is obligatory, but he called it charity. So don't think that what they are doing there is no reward for it, and they knew what reward that they have on the charity. So he told them that it is a charity because the best dinar you spend is the one that you spend on your family. And it has to be enough before you go to someone else. And he always says if the person has too many needy, some that he required their expenditure, if his money is enough to spend on them, he needs to spend on the close and the far. And if he can't, then he put the wife over the relatives because her expenditure does not go away from the lack of. Madam says that correct that it is required, even though they could go high. Shurkan says that's from the Shariah point of view. From the law, you have to look at the laws that is in all societies. What is known that the law does not require on the husband to show his wife income unless there is a court order. Like if they want to have proof of his income to get the custody of the kids. So in summary, the, there is no right for the wife to know his to know in details and not to harm her. Another important one, hopefully the last one we have enough time for to answer it. Is it correct that the Muslim outside Muslim countries he's not required to follow the Sharia except on himself and his livelihood, and no sin on him if he live? like the riba outside the Muslim, or he have to migrate to his country, for example. There's a lot of gambling in this one because you are making the door wide open on the Muslim communities to leave everything, and a lot of course it's because the capability of the person. So you have to look into that is permissible. Otherwise, I'm gonna ask you what's gonna make the merchants and all businessmen to not use the riba in their dealing, even though it is part of the community. And whenever you talk about and you'd have to establish all the rules, or who's gonna make the investors to follow the Aqd and Sharia. And when it is part of the philosophy of the country or the state, and he does not require to follow all those. And who's gonna make the communities establish the institutions going to defend the rights of the Muslims and to support the Ummah, East and West, if the Muslim is not required to follow any of the financial, political, when it comes to the general rule. So someone who might say that this is to try to book secularism in the Muslim communities, no. And we see that obligated in our countries because secularism is just colonialism. Allah will get you of what you can do. So you establish from the rules of Allah what you can do it. And you do work hard to bring all the reasoning, like to stay, like Islamic financial institutions or arbitration, Islamic arbitration, so people will come to that when it comes to the family affairs. But if he can't, from the worship and others, and fearing the religion, losing the religion himself or others, that's when he needs to migrate if he can. As Allah said, for those that our angels are taking their souls, they are wrong to themselves. They were asked what you were doing. They said, we are among the weak on earth. He said, wasn't Allah's land to hide? The Amja, they say in this matter the following: originally, the Muslim need to stay Islam Muslim countries to avoid the affliction in the religion. Uh, he cannot leave them except with a good intention. The rule is different. So it is allowed for those who can protect themselves and their family, and to be aware of what Aisha said, because the Muslim worship his Lord any way he wish. It's required for those that residing to teach Islam is forbidden, that's going to afflict somebody in his religion, and he is stopped from worshiping Allah. If he is capable of going back to the Islamic countries and freeing himself, and he is among the weak, that Allah has put him as an exception. With that, then you see the saying of the Prophet ﷺ, I am free from any Muslim who stay in the Muslim country. This is who reside in, and they have afflicted on the religion. You're actually supposed to show what you can from Islamic virtues, to be patient about any calamity that happens, and to reside Islam in these communities where you have this rule that is more capable. We come to the conclusion. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.